Linda Usope is a medium who has known about her psychic abilities since she was a small child. After working in a police station, she realised she could use her powers to help solve crimes, and she now specialises in the area. Linda, tell me about how forensic mediums can help in solving crimes.
Well, forensic mediumship, as I said, is a little bit different than just connecting to someone's loved one to help them with some closure or some love. It's all about profiling the victim. I always said forensics isn't for the lighthearted because the things that we see is very, very different connected to the crime itself. And it's about profiling the victim or profiling the perpetrator to work out where they are, where I can find them, what direction they're in. And it's a working in partnership with our law enforcement that work really, really hard and giving them little bits of gold nuggets or little pieces of information that they can actually take to court, because it can't be fluffy. It's got to be basically evidential, connected to the information we get, because no one can work with a psychic because where do they get their information from? How do we know that their truth is? But if it works in with the evidence and in partnership and getting police to see things or law enforcement to see things in different sets of eyes, not just black and white, I always say we are of service and we should be there for the right reasons.
What type of information can you provide?
When we profile a victim, for example, it's a matter of basically going into them, and it sounds really, really bizarre, but it's like I'm become them, and I walk through their last 24 hours through their life to see exactly what happened, whether they died of natural causes or whether there was people around them that was part of the equation connected to their passing. As we go through them or profile them, well, then we can see street names. We can see what's going on around them. We can smell. So, is there a fire around them? Can we smell a road? Can we smell rain? Was it wet? So it's all about using all our clairs in connection to what we see, not just the actual crime itself, but looking around the surroundings connected around the crime.
That must be quite scary sometimes, because if you're becoming the victim, presumably there must be a point where you could actually see the murder taking place.
Absolutely. And, and that's why I say forensic mediumship isn't for the lighthearted, because, some things do affect us. And I as a mum, grandmother, when we start working with children and I see things that basically no one really wants to see when it comes to a crime with a child, can be very, very confronting. But it's all about boundaries, control, and allowing us to be of service, but also knowing that we can let it go at the end of the day or not take it home.
One case you've been working on is the suspected murder of grandmother Lynette Mullane. Mm-hmm. Lynette's dead body was discovered in her living room in Glenfield in Sydney in 2017. And there are several factors that have led her family to believe foul play might have been involved. What kind of a person was Lynette?
Lynette was she was a grandmother. She was a mother. She was devoted to her family. She was someone that was out there with the community. She was just full of love. She was full of life. She was someone that basically, would give to anyone, and very well known for it.
Tell me the circumstances under which she was found.
She was concerned, living in the house on her own, had a big home, and for some reason, this beautiful, bubbly woman started to really stress or really not wanting to go home. She was going to pick up the grandchild and never got round to doing it. The family went looking for her and found her on the lounge. Now, the circumstances connected around her body was odd.
What were the signs that indicated Lynette may have been murdered?
A coroner said it could have been prescription drugs. Actually, she was bleeding from the mouth. There was no indication on someone that takes medication that there was something internal that would lead to the bleeding of the mouth. And her body and her arm was quite twisted behind her back, like it had been held back. That just didn't sit with what they were told, connected around to how she was found to what they were told, because, coroners at the beginning on the death certificate basically said suspicious or couldn't find what the cause of.
Juliana, thank you for sharing this story with us. It's obviously, what you've been through is obviously horrific. Tell me how you came to talk to Linda about it.
It was just imperative to get someone of Linda's expertise and specialties to come and help me, because as my mother's daughter, I knew that something wasn't right here. And I felt very connected to Mum, and I knew that there was something that happened that wasn't right. So when I come to Linda, the things that Linda described to me was 100% to what happened. And for her to connect with Mum as the victim and for Mum to tell her what had happened to her, so I'm trying not to get emotional, was just amazing. And I'm in honour that Linda worked with our family and has continued to work with our family to get closure for poor Lynette, my mother.
Initially, the police dismissed the case and the finding was that she had overdosed from pharmaceutical medication. Is that correct?
No, they didn't dismiss it. It carried on for quite some time, at least 12 to 18 months, where we didn't have any closure on what had happened. They couldn't tell us what happened to our mother. When they did give us a thing of toxicology and papers and what have you, I took it to two independent doctors who I respect very, tremendously, and they had a look through the toxicology and everything. And there was a couple of things also that stood out that you need a government prescription for, that my mother did not have a government prescription for, and these were administered to her. That raised alarm bells, and the fact that my mother had blood dripping from her mouth and her arm was twisted back when my poor brother-in-law saw my poor dead mother's body on the lounge. Neighbours came forward to me whilst I was gardening after her death and told me she feared for her life. I asked them would they make a statement, and they wouldn't. They were scared for their own safety. The next door neighbours across the road also saw a gentleman with a truck and people coming in and out of the house, and that she told neighbours that she feared for her life. So I told all this to New South Wales Police. I let the constable in charge of the matter know. I also could identify one of the gentlemen that come to the door. I'm a very factual person, so I keep lots of notes. We're a very close, loving family, and we kept a diary of everything that didn't add up. And I presented it with everything I had, including a photograph of the person that come to my door, and it led to nothing. That was devastating because we knew what had happened.
You were at your mother's house and someone came and knocked on the door, 3 men came and knocked on the door.
Yep. I was quite taken back, not only about how they looked quite unsavoury, and my mother wasn't an unsavoury person. She was like a Mother Teresa, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's an accurate description of Lynette Mullane. So when these gentlemen come to the door, they said to me, I had a food van at the front of the door, which unfortunately for this case was obstructing the view of the front, the front door. So they come to the door and they said to me, I believe you're selling a food van. I said, no, I'm sorry, terribly sorry, but I'm not selling the food van. I said, are you meaning the one out there? And they were circling the food van as one was trying to keep me, distracted at the door. Unbeknown to me at the time, I heard noises coming from the back of me, and I had my little dog. He saved my life too that day, but I don't know what they wanted. But there was a gentleman that I could see in the corner of my eye, and I started to panic, was in actually the pool area of my mother's residence out the back. And then he was kind of signalling to him and was signalling back and forth using head motions, but kept trying to engage with me about this food van. And then all of a sudden they just out of the blue said, okay, thank you, and we'll be around later. And, when I shut the door, I was shaking because I realised this is something, I don't know what this is, but this isn't good. Lots of things didn't add up, which police were informed about in regards to money taken out of the bank. There was money stolen out of my mother's purse on the day of her death. There was lots of things that didn't add up about the evening of her death. Considering that I spoke to her at 7:30 in the morning, and my mother was scared. And she was very upset. And she said to me, look, I just can't come, darling. I can't come to mind the children today. Oh, look, I just can't. I've got to go. Oh, I'm not well. That conversation, as you can appreciate, stuck with me for the rest of this time.
So what's your gut instinct here? You've mentioned this person of interest.
I think that my mother was an easy target. I think my mother was a very overly kind, empathic human being. I think she gave a bit of a rough nut, bit of a chance, and I think she was taken advantage of. I think she was, he took her for money, an innocent little old lady, bleeding hearts column, and I think he got away with it.
This person of interest, has the police pursued that line of inquiry?
They have to a degree, but because they don't have any circumstantial evidence to prove that he was there and this and that, he's known to police, this gentleman. He has got a very serious rap sheet and that he has got mental health issues and that to proceed with caution. That broke me because I knew that this man was capable of, who knows, I don't know, it's speculation, but the help with Linda has been very crucial for our closure in the matter.
How's Linda been able to help you? With what information has she been able to bring forward to you?
The timeline of events of what happened and the questions that we needed answers for, which, as you can imagine, I haven't slept very well for nearly 5 years. So that for me, knowing that my mother was at peace, that it wasn't of natural causes, to have an arm pushed back, twisted back, and to have blood coming down her beautiful little mouth. Now, Linda wasn't told that by myself or my sisters when we come to see her for help. She told us, and that was proof enough for me that this is very real. And Linda has a very good gift.
Was Linda able to give you any indication as to why your mother's life was taken and how it took place?
Yeah, that basically my mum knew a little bit too much and was questioning things and, you know, he was borrowing money off her and stuff like that, and he was trying to get more money out of her. Basically, yeah, that it all happened all so quick and that before you knew it, Mum was dead.
Juliana, the loss is incredible for your family and I'm so sorry for what you've been through, but I'm also pleased that you've been able to connect with Linda and get some kind of clarity about what happened to your mother and those last kind of days. And thank you for sharing your story with us. And Linda, thank you for sharing some insights into the type of work that you do.
Thank you so much for allowing me, through Linda, to tell my mother's story. And if it wasn't for the help of Linda Usope, I don't think we'd be where we're at right now.